Dear students, welcome to this lecture on strategic management. In the last lecture, we had finished off with Unit 3, and in Unit 3 we discussed in detail about how to formulate strategies. Now, in this unit we start with the topic of strategic choice and strategic analysis. Now, in our normal lives also, we are faced with so many choices, so many options. Whether I should, what time should I wake up in the morning, what should I have for breakfast, what should I carry to the office, whether should I carry a laptop today or not. So, whether I should go by my own conveyance or should I hire an Ola or an Uber. So, there are a lot of choice, and we try to, when we have lot of options, we try to pick up the best choice according to us, so that it gives lots of benefits to us. Similarly, a manager also is faced with many choices in an organization. We call them choices, and when he chooses among them, then it is a decision making process which he undertakes when he is making a choice. So, actually the process of making a choice is the process of decision making also, and it is a very important thing, because as you can see, it has so many implications for our personal life also, which is we are just a small part of an organization, but when you talk about the organization as an entire entity as a whole, then you can understand that the choices made by managers can have whole lot of implications. So, that is why it is important and imperative that a manager chooses things wisely, he makes decisions wisely, because it can have lot of, and we are talking about strategic decisions here, so they can have lot of organizational wide, company wide implications in the future also. So, with that note, we discuss organizations continually face the challenge of exercising choice among alternatives. The process of strategic choice is essentially a decision making process. As I told you, that when he is trying to make out that out of the options, which option to choose, right, out of the strategies available, which strategies to choose, or for that matter out of the organizations which I can acquire, which one should I acquire, which is the best deal for me, whether I should acquire right now, whether I should wait for some time, negotiate. So, all these things, these are part of making a choice, and hence they are in the ambit of decision making. So, these are the various steps in making a strategic choice. You can see it is choosing from the first is the focusing on strategic alternative. This would be the first step. The second would be analysis of the strategic alternative, or analyzing the strategic alternatives. Next is evaluating the strategic alternatives, and the fourth will be choosing from the strategic alternatives. Now, we will have a look at them one by one. So, this is a process of strategic choice. Now, the first step, as you could see, was focusing on strategic alternatives. Now, how do you focus on strategic alternatives? What are the options before me? As a manager, what are the choices before a manager? Now, how does he get to those choices? He does so by visualizing the future state and working backwards, right. So, for example, if I have to make a personal choice and I say that I have to reach the airport in an hour, so then I plan backward. So, if I have to reach the airport in an hour, then if I take the local bus, it is going to take a lot of time to reach the airport. So, I will not be able to reach in an hour. Then I go to the next option, if I take a metro. So, metro is not still functional. So, how can I take the metro, right? Then the third option is that I take an Ola or a Uber. Had the metro been functional, it would have been the best option, because it can take me to the airport in less hassle and very less time also. But then I would go probably for an Ola or an Uber, or I can also call a friend and request him or her to drop me to the airport. So, where did you start with? You started with working backwards. You had to analyze the future state, you had to find out what you want in the future, what do you expect in the future, what is your objective as you can say, and then you have to work backward. Now this is done through very important gap analysis. How do you visualize the future state and then you find a strategic alternative? This is the process is known as gap analysis, and as you can see from the diagram here, you can see on one x axis we have taken time, on y axis we have taken revenue. So with time we have to see the revenue. Now for example, this is our current level of performance. So somewhere here it is our current, at this point of time this is the revenue which we are drawing, right. Now where we want to reach? We want to reach at this point. So there is a gap between these two. There is a gap between these two, and I have to find out now the alternatives which can help me bridge this gap. So gap analysis will be the desired performance where I want to reach, this is the desired performance, and the current level of performance. Now still on the first step, now once you have done a gap analysis, you have tried to find out that where you want to reach, where you are at this point of time, then you come to the alternatives. What options, like we discussed, metro, calling a friend, by own conveyance, bus, these can be the options. So similarly, an organization will also have certain app options to bridge that gap, to move from the current level of performance to the desired level of performance. So there are 4 main corporate strategies here. The first is expansion strategy. Expansion strategy we have discussed in detail in the last unit, and expansion strategy is used when the performance gap is large due to expected environmental opportunity. Like for example, our current performance is low, our desired performance is high, we want a higher desired performance, and we feel that there is an opportunity in the environment. The environmental scanning says that in future there will be opportunities. If we can capitalize on those opportunities, we will be able to move from the current level of performance to the desired level of performance. So this is when expansion strategies are used. This is the most feasible alternative in such a situation. So expansion strategy, say, as the name suggests, it is also known as growth strategy. It increases the level of activity in the organization. The organization starts moving fast towards the higher level of performance. And what do the firms do generally? They introduce new products, they enter into new markets, they penetrate markets, they build shares, their market share, sorry. And we have discussed there are 6 main expansion strategies. In the last unit, we have discussed concentration, integration, diversification, cooperation, internationalization and digitalization. So these are the expansion strategies. Then the second is the stability strategy. As the name suggests that you do not move fast, you move, but you move in such a way slowly that you do not fall down, right. So stability strategy is used when the performance gap is narrow. There is not much of a difference between the current level of performance and the desired level of performance, then we would use stability strategies. And when would a company go for a stability strategy? It will go, as I said, that there will be only incremental changes in the performance, there will not be huge changes in the performance. So it will be used when there is an economic recession. There is economic recession and there is not much to do. Then it can be done as a way of consolidation. Consolidation means the company has reached a particular point, now it wants to concentrate or it wants to remain at that point for some time, does not want to indulge in much more activities. So it can be a way of consolidation, that whatever we are doing right now, let us first be the best in that and then we can move to expansion. Then the next place is the next situation in which a stability strategy can be used is when the market has reached maturity. If we are into a product or a service where the market has reached maturity and there is not much scope of growth there, then in that case also when growth is not possible, then you have to remain at a stable level. Then another condition where this strategy works is that where expansion strategies, we feel that if we go for expansion, then the cost will be more than the benefits we get from expansion. So, the company will again go for a stability strategy. And another point of time wherein the company will go for a stability strategy is that if the company is facing a very bad time, it is going through a rough phase or a patch, and here the company's debts are piling. So, you cannot go for an expansion strategy because expansion strategy involves lot of expenses. So, there the company goes for stability strategy. Then the third is retrenchment strategy. Retrenchment word, it is in HR also you must have come across this word. In Hindi we call it chutney. So, retrenchment strategy is used when the performance gap is large, but here also the performance gap is large in expansion, here also it is large, but here we are expecting opportunities in the future. So, we go for an expansion strategy, but when the performance gap is large due to past and expected bad performance has not been good, maybe because of our own weaknesses or maybe because of lot of challenges from the environment. So, we expect a poor performance, we have been performing poorly in the past and we expect a poor performance in the future also. So, then their retrenchment strategy would be the most feasible option. So, here retrenchment what do we do as a company? The company does contraction of activities. Whatever it was doing, it kind of reduces those activities. You can reduce in the the level of activity, or you can reduce the number of activities itself. And it can also include divestment of a product, of a particular product line. The company can stop producing a particular product, or it can sell one of its SBU, it can sell one of its units. So as to reduce the level of activity, it can reduce its functions also, and it can occur. Why does a company have to go for retrenchment? As we have seen that there has been a past and a future expected bad performance, then there may be this pressure from stakeholders to go for retrenchment. If the company is not earning enough profits or if it is running into losses, then there is a pressure from stakeholders that the company should sell off all its loss making units, and that is how because of that pressure the company has to sell off some of its unit or it has to discontinue one of its product lines, and also retrenchment strategy can be used when there are better opportunities available elsewhere. This is also very important because I may sell my unit because I feel that the revenue I will get out of selling this unit, I can use this money to buy certain unit which has more opportunities, which is more promising for the future. So, retrenchment strategy can be used for that also. So, many examples of companies selling their units, discontinuing their product lines, you must have come across in the newspapers also. And in 2007 the government of India divested all its shares from Maruti Udyog. Maruti Udyog was a PSU, Government of India undertaking, but it divested in 2007 all its shares, and these shares were sold to the financial institutions. So, this is how this strategy works out, right. Then the last is combination strategy. Now, as the name suggests, combination is also known as a hybrid or a mixed strategy. Hybrid or a mixed strategy. Now, because it is a mixture. It is not a pure strategy. That out of these three strategies, if we are combining two or more and we are not using a single strategy, then it becomes a combination strategy. And where it is used in a complex scenario where we feel that only one pursuing one strategy will not give us the desired results. In that case, the company goes for a combination strategies. There are multiple reasons for the performance gap, and then it will be the most feasible option. So, here the company can use a mixture of all these strategies either simultaneously together, right, or it can use sequentially. Simultaneously means it is buying one unit, it is selling another unit together, right. That means on one hand there is a negotiation going for selling a unit, on the other hand there is a negotiation going on with somebody else for buying certain unit. So, that it can occur simultaneously, there you are having retrenchment plus expansion going simultaneously, or it can go sequentially, that first we sell, that is we go for retrenchment, and then we buy, that is we go for expansion later. So, it is upon the company to decide, and there is difficult to find any example of a company which has gone for pure strategies, that is they have only gone for expansion or they have only gone for stability or retrenchment only. They always go for a combination strategy. So, now in the for example, a simple example would be that there is this paint company which is into household paints. Now, if this company increases the variety which is available to the customers, household customers, then it is going for a stability strategy. There are changes, but there are very small incremental changes. Now, if this company starts a division of industrial and automotive paints, it starts producing paints for automobiles also and for industrial requirements also, then it has gone for a huge change, and then it is an expansion strategy. And if this company sells off its contract painting division to some other company, then it has also gone for a retrenchment strategy. So, it can pursue these three things together simultaneously at the same time, or it can pursue them one after the other. So, this is how the company focuses on strategic alternatives. Now, you have to analyze. You have lot of options before you, now you have to analyze the options. An analysis has to rely on certain factors. These factors are termed as selection factors. These factors are termed as selection factors. How do I choose that this strategy is good for me, this is not so good for me? This is done on the basis of the selection factors. Now, these selection factors are of two types. The first are the objective factors, which are based on analytical techniques and hard facts, and these are also known as rational, prescriptive, and they are also known as the normative. You can also call them as normative factors. So, these factors, as it is said that they rely on hard facts. So, objective factors can be the opportunities, like for example, profit is an objective factor, right. Similarly, the opportunities and threats before the organization, the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, the mission and objectives, the strategic intent, business definition, these are all said to be objective factors. And just the opposite will be the subjective factors, which are also known as collective, or they are also called as descriptive factors, collective or descriptive factors. So, these are the factors which are based on the personal judgment, or they are decided together when people sit together. These are they have collection of several factors together. So, for example, these are based on personal preference, value system, willingness for risk, very very important, right. So, a company where there is less willingness of risk will not go for an expansion strategy so soon, because it requires lot of new initiatives and spending lot of money also. Then competitors reaction is also what do we anticipate, what is the competitor going to do in the future. So, this can be everybody's choice. Everybody can think, okay, the competitor, somebody may think the competitor will sit and do nothing, somebody will say no, he is going to counter our strategy. So, it is everybody's personal judgment. And then there are internal political considerations also, which are a part of subjective factors, that when strategies are being chosen, there are different groups in the organization. So, if I have suggested a strategy, then I will try to see that that strategy is selected and nobody else's strategy is selected. So, I will make groups and try to influence the management that ways. So, these are the subjective factors. Now, next is evaluating the strategic alternatives. Now, when you have to evaluate, it involves bringing together the analysis done on the basis of objective and subjective factors. Now, we have analyzed all the alternatives. Now, we have the advantages, disadvantages, pros and cons of all the alternatives before us. So, to observe what is important, both the factors have to be considered together. So, we cannot overlook one factor at the cost of the other factor. Like for example, we have to take into consideration both the information or both the inputs which we are getting from the subjective factors also and the objective factors also. Then the last step in strategic choice is choosing from the strategic alternatives. So, this is the final step of strategic choice, and one or more strategies have to be chosen for implementation. Now, the company has to decide whether it will go for a diversification in expansion, whether it will go for an integration in expansion, whether it will go for stability, whether it will go for retrenchment. And here a blueprint or a map has to be, or a road map has to be prepared that will describe the strategy, what we exactly in detail it will describe what strategy we want to pursue and under what conditions it will operate. So, this is how the strategic choice is done in terms of these 4 steps. Now, from strategic choice we move on to strategic analysis. Now, before strategic analysis, we discuss strategic choice basically because strategic analysis is based on strategic choice only. It is the investigation of the objective factors. Remember the objective factors we discussed just now. So, it is the investigation of the objective factors being considered for the process of strategic choice. We had discussed, if you remember, that we had discussed in the 3rd step, evaluating the strategic alternative. So, here now again we are discussing this evaluation or this analysis in detail. So, it is meant to answer questions like analysis. Why is analysis done? So that we get answers to questions, because as we had discussed that it is very difficult for managers to say that this strategy is good or this strategy is bad. So, which industries to enter and which to leave. Now, for example, if the company is into multiple industries, multiple businesses, it wants to sell off certain units. So, which should I sell and which should I buy or which should I enter? Right. So, even if I am not planning to buy, then if I am entering on my own, then which are those sectors, which are those industries which I should buy. So, this is the first thing which the company has to decide, which industries to enter and which to leave. Then the second thing which is which businesses to create, acquire, divest. This is again in a particular industry, what are those businesses which we should start on our own or we should acquire or we should sell off. This is again a very important decision. And which products, markets to grow, divest. Whether we should whatever our markets are, whether we should continue in those markets, we should continue growing in those markets, or should we exit from certain markets. So, it can be done at two levels. Strategic analysis can be done at two levels. First is corporate level strategic analysis, and the second is the business level strategic analysis. Corporate level strategic analysis, it focuses on analyzing businesses under the same corporate umbrella. As the name can suggest to you, the entire business as such, company can be into multiple businesses. Here we are analyzing all those businesses which are under the same company, which is a conglomerate, and there are multiple SBUs under this. So, we are analyzing all those businesses together. So, that is a corporate level strategic analysis, and the alternatives here are all those alternatives which we have discussed: stability, expansion, retrenchment and combination strategies, right, because we are taking the entire business. So, I sell here, I buy there. So, this is corporate level strategic analysis. The second is business level strategic analysis. When we are concentrating on a particular business, a particular unit or a particular SBU, then it is a business level strategic analysis. Here the central theme is competition. When we are talking about a particular unit, then we are not talking about the entire organization, then we are talking in terms of the competitor, the competition. Area for analysis is markets and industries where the organization operates. So, I am not concerned about what other units in my company are doing, where they are. I am only concerned about the unit which I am working with, and where I have to see the future, what I have to do in the future of that. The alternatives are, here the alternatives, there are 4 alternatives here also in business level strategic analysis, and these are also called as, Michael Porter has called them as generic strategies. And you can see that these are the generic strategies, 4 generic strategies. Actually, Michael Porter gave 3 generic strategies. Later on they were bifurcated into 4. He said that there are 3 basically generic strategies: cost, differentiation and focus. Cost, differentiation and focus, right. So, here on the x axis we take source of competitive advantage, whether it is a cost or whether it is differentiation. And on the y axis we take scope. Scope can be narrow, it can be broad, and as I said that cost, differentiation and focus were the 3 strategies given by him. So, later it was bifurcated to cost focus and differentiation focus. So, these are the 4 business level strategies which we use in strategic analysis. So, we have done with the corporate level strategies earlier. Now, we will talk about the business level strategies in the next class in detail. Thank you so much.